Season 2 of Dreamland. It's episode 3, and we are continuing to look back, reminisce, and celebrate the World Cup champion 2025 Minnesota Frost. And this is always the point in the series where we then talk about the fight to get into the playoffs. Yeah, because obviously in the first episodes we covered the off-season, the early part of the season, and then in this episode that's when we normally then talk about the fight to get in. And oh, what a fight it was. Because on the last episode, we left you off with that great big almighty cliffhanger. Yeah, that's... Oh, dear. We left you on a cliffhanger. So obviously, going into the World Championship break, the Frost were on the outside looking in. I know I'm not quoting a Taylor Swift song. How's it go, George? Oh guys, from the very first album, this is going to test my memory. How can I ever try to be better? Nobody ever lets me in. I can still see you, this ain't the best view. There's something. In a lonely place, and on the outside. It is from a very first album, so I'm a bit hazy on the lyrics, but yeah. So, but no, not the Taylor Swift song. Yeah, not the Taylor Swift song. Give him a suit. Oh, I miss those days. That is what I think I missed the most about the X Factor. I thought it would be Judges' Houses, but I actually do miss the thriller that was the 6-chair challenge. I never would want to be put in that position. That would kill me, but I would love to you would love the opportunity to go to Judges' Houses. You would have to basically sit there and grin it. Well, I think everyone wants to go to Judges' Houses. Yeah. Like how in The Apprentice, everyone always targets Final 5. I think in X Factor, if you go on X Factor, you've got to target Judges' Houses because you then get to go abroad. Actually, get to perform from a very lovely backdrop. Anyway, yeah. So this is the point now we're going to cover what was essentially a dogfight to get into the World Cup playoffs, because it was between us, Ottawa, and Boston. Yeah. Ottawa found their form quite late in the game. They've been inconsistent the whole way through, and then just when they need it the most, they turn the key. Turn the gear up, and they find a way to get some consistency and put themselves in a position to clinch. Oh, they did. So it ended up being a massive dogfight in the end. So, coming back from the World Championships, the Minnesota Frost were on the outside of the playoff field, but only by 1 point of the Ottawa Charge, who held the 4th and final spot, as once again the playoff race would go right down to the wire, with everyone except the New York Sirens still in play. Which kind of feels weird because we're recording this in mid-April, so we're recording this at the very tail end of the regular season for 25-26. It kind of feels a bit strange that 3 of the playoff spots for this year's playoffs are all now locked up. Yeah, there's only 1 left. Yeah, it does feel weird. Yeah, but it's still a race though. Oh no! Even though there's only 1 spot left, there is still quite a race to the finish, and it's going to be so thrilling. It's going to be so thrilling. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When's it not? When's it not? When's it not thrilling? But I say, it kind of feels a bit weird with this season where the playoffs have gone. But there you go. I think you could argue this season that even though it's the exact same schedule as last year, teams have found a way to get more wins in regulation, which is really good because ideally you want to go for as much regulation wins as you possibly can, so that you can get those 3 points in the bag and build up your account, while at the same time you are locking out your opponent from getting any potential brownie points. Something that might actually bite Ottawa in the arse, because they have been getting a lot of OT wins this year, but you're not finding as many regulation wins as you possibly can, and that might harm you if you want to attempt to get back into the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. We'll see what happens. So, oh god, this is the bit what I did last year, was go through all the opportunities, and I hated doing it on last season. Especially because last season we were recapping what happened in the regular season, and every game was basically just get 1 point. Yeah. Oh, I can't believe that in the regular season, how every game we just needed 1 point, and that we would have done it and couldn't do it. Not even those games against Boston, Montreal, but we were so close to taking it out here then. Oh god. Oh god. No, I don't like looking back on the inaugural. It pained you last year, didn't it? It pained you last year. I don't like looking back on the inaugural season at the end of the inaugural season, because it was just like, oh my god, we're talking ourselves out of a playoff spot that literally a month ago looked locked in. But that is kind of the beauty of this league. That is kind of the beauty of this league, how 1 month you can be very much like a dead cert to make the playoffs, and then the next month you could be literally outside the field by only about 1 or 2 points, and yet it's crazy. It's crazy how the league works like that. But at the same time, it's beautiful. But anyway, yeah. So the Frost's first game back was their final home game of the regular season. And you know what? I'm gonna get him. Oh, don't punish Naughty. I'm gonna get him. I'm still not happy with this. Why's Naughty got to suffer? Why does Naughty have to suffer? Don't punish Naughty. No, I've got to do it. I know you're here. You are evil. I know. They. Oh, try to hide behind Bernie. He's not gonna save you. Well, I don't know about that. He might be wishing that it's you that wins that first round against Dallas. Right. Let's see. Are you in shot? Let's see. You are evil. You bastard. Yeah. Wait till the boys and girls. Hi, boys and girls. Right, you are an evil Okay, you are evil for what you did to us last year in Audi. If anyone's the evil bastard right now, it's you, Lieutenant Dragon, a poor defenseless creature. Tusky's not here. They have not made Tuskies yet. They have not made Tuskies yet. When they do, he can come and live with us. But until they make them... Oh, God. Me and Howler had such great fun when that was revealed, by the way. And I got to basically act as, you know, those voiceovers, you know, for those charity appeals. If you can't stand to see the sight of this poor endangered animal in crisis, the number is on the screen below. Please give what you can. To donate 10, 20 or 30 pounds. 100% of the money you give will go to funding life-saving cancer research. And now back to the bakes. God, I can remember that every time I watch that Cancer Bake Off. I know it's coming. It's like, yeah, banking all fielding. Let's get back to the cakes. Yeah. So our first game back was against the York Sirens. It was our last home game of the season, which was supposed to take place on April 26th. Yeah, it got moved to April 27th. So it took place on April 27th, but originally it was supposed to be on the day before. But during the World Championships, the AHL rebuilt its first round schedules for the Stanley Cup playoffs, which included Game 4 of the Wild Golden Brats series, which took place on that day. Therefore, the Frost game was moved, and also the Sirens Battle home game on May 2nd was also pushed back a day, also because of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But if I remember rightly, there was no need to move the Sirens game back because that was a game 6 and it didn't go to game 6. Correct? Correct. The Devils Hurricane series only went to 5 games because New Jersey sucked. Oh, how she used their goal song against them. You want to say we suck? No, you suck! When was the last time the Devils won a playoff series? 2024. Or was it 2023? Either way, doesn't matter. They've won one before you two have done. I thought they missed in 2024. Well, it must have been 2023 then. I can recall the Devils did beat the Rangers in the most recent playoff series, so I think So it must have been 2020. It must have been 2023. No, yes, it was 2023. Sorry, it was 2023. Sorry. And then it was 2023, and then they met again in 2020. Yeah, it was 2023. Yeah, it was 2023. Yeah, 2023. Someone Google it. Either way, I got mad. Oh, you did. Well, I think all three of us spotted it straight away what was coming, and then you just went absolutely berserk. You were swearing, you were effing and jeffing, you were kicking sofas, you were pulling your hair out, you went absolutely berserk, and rightly so. These schedules had been out since October 2024. You knew, Gary Bettman,
Go on.
you knew that the Minnesota Wild and the New Jersey Devils both were sharing their bonds with PHL teams. You knew when our regular season was going to come to a close. You knew when your playoffs were going to start. So why did you make us suffer because of your incompetence?
I know.
It was 2025. We have been through a quarter of the 21st century, and yet I still can't believe that the woman's needs play second to the man's. How does that happen, Naughty? How does that happen? We've been in the 21st century for a quarter of a century now. How is it when it comes to sports, the women have to play second fiddle to the men, when we all know that women are better athletes than men? I think Naughty's straws just dropped. Try and tell me I'm wrong. No, you can't. Oh! You can't. You've got You've got 0 championship banners. We've got 2. Oh! Poor Naughty! He didn't sign up for this! Well, it's no damn fault of being in the league. No damn fault. Yeah. Oh, I was berserk. I was absolutely fuming. So in the end, I didn't watch a single playoff game in the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs at all. According to the East crew, I didn't miss much. Comet David failed to get a Stanley Cup again. This time in 6 games. And the East crew, who were following those playoffs, said, "Oh, they played worse than they did in 2024. Yeah. But it's like, come on, seriously. So, oh god. Need to keep an eye out when their schedules come out. Oh yeah. What are you doing this year? This year I'm going to be watching all of Naughty's playoff games, and that's it. So if Naughty has a playoff game, I will watch it, but I'm not doing anyone else. I'm not. Especially if we get another summer period like we had last year, where we get after the World Cup playoffs, it's then straight to expansion draft. Yeah, because that will then. Because last year's expansion draft took place during the Stanley Cup finals, so yeah. So but I've got more important things to do than give Gary Bettman free money. So yeah, there you go. But no, I was absolutely fuming. And to make matters worse, we dropped that game. We did. We dropped that game. So to make matters worse, we ended up dropping that game. If you're going to make Naughty sit here, I want to have it with me. Okay, fine, you take it. I am not having you be cruel to Naughty. Come here, he's a poor defenseless creature. So, who's the one that basically kept swinging lashes at Tommy Hawk all those years ago? Defenseless creature, my ass. You come and sit with me. Keep away from that mean, raging queen over there. Excuse me, that's racism! You can't do that! You keep making with me. You cannot say that! That's racism! To any queens watching, I do apologise. You cannot say that! That's racism! You cannot say that! Oh my god! Oh my bloody god! It's falling apart! It's falling apart here! Okay, so what? I need a time out. It's falling apart. What do you expect? We're 3 seasons in now! Embrace the chaos. He's just basically just thrown racism at me. I'm not having that on my show. That's not on. He's just thrown racist abuse at me. That's not on. That is not on. Right, I'm gonna carry on. I'm gonna pretend you're not here. What would Bailey say if he's holding Naughty like that? At least it's not you. Oh. Right, the Sirens were who were Minnesota would face in its final home game, and despite being very closely fought contest, New York won 2-0, and for the second year in a row, locked up the goal plan. It would also make the Frost's chances of making the playoffs a little bit more steeper. I think I nearly said more harder there, but that's not in the script. Now, and when we were watching the Fleet, was it the Fleet at Victoire? Or was it Victoire Fleet? I think it was Fleet at Victoire. Okay. When we were watching the Fleet at Victoire game, my partner over here basically asked me, okay, how this result will affect us. And I went through all what I thought were the most likely scenarios. Can I just say, you did very, very well with that lady. You did very well. Because we had the Fleet Victoire game on the Monday. We had the Sirens at Scepters game on the Tuesday, but that affected no one. Because Tio had clinched, York had been out. That affected no one. And then we had Arsenal Wednesday. You did actually a brilliant job of what you thought was the scenarios. We come to our game against the Charge, and then it all was like, oh, well, actually, turns out I didn't know what I was talking about. No, but you did well. I'll give you that. You did quite well. You did well. Yeah. So, the first of those two games, we had 2 games left, both against Ottawa and Boston. You've got a pound of steam beforehand. Of course, it's you putting me off. It's you putting me off. You're encouraging bad behaviour. Sorry, no, it's a paragraph before that. But no, but you did go into those before the first of those 2 games. You did try to work out what our scenarios were, and I thought you did good. But unfortunately, it ended not being the case. So, Minnesota would need to win both its last 2 games as we head out on the road. Yeah. So Minnesota would head on the road for their final 2 games against the Charge and the Fleet in basically a do or die situation. As there was a lot on the line, as the Frost would need to win both games in regulation to stand a chance of making it back to the World Cup playoffs and have a chance to defend their crown. And the first of those came on April. Do you want? Yeah, can I remember? I'll do this bit. I think I might need a new one. Yeah, there we go. Right, I'll do this next bit. Okay. Give you a breather. Right, so the first of those was on April the 30th in Ottawa, which had not been a kind place for the Frost. And to make matters worse, during the pre-game we learned that if the game went beyond regulation, that would have eliminated the Frost from playoff contention. Yeah. And also on that day, Seattle was awarded their expansion franchise. Yes. So that was also a mighty distraction, which we couldn't ignore because unlike Vancouver, who waited until 7 o'clock in the evening our time to break the news, Seattle was already out by tea time. Early afternoon it was. Oh, was it early afternoon? Yeah. Seattle's details were basically out by early afternoon, so that was kind of nice. So it didn't mean we didn't have to wait till like early evening to get those. So it was a huge game, but there was also big news going on that ended up being quite a distraction for us. Yeah, but fair dues. Do you want to carry on, or shall I pick back up? I'll carry on. Yeah. I've started, so I've finished. Okay, so where do I go from? You go. With that. Okay, and with that in mind, the Frost had a huge character win as Lee Steckline got 2 huge goals as they shut out Gwyneth's 3-0 as Nicole Hensley was outstanding in net and allow the Frost to be in control of their own. Yeah. this was kind of the turning point for Lee's Decline, because I think she'd been quite quiet most of the season, and then here she was in a big game situation. Big, time to get the big pants on. That's kind of what you would say to Mel Alfies, but we'll understand the analogy. Yeah, and she just was huge in that game. Yeah, it was a huge win. And it set up a really interesting final day of the regular season. Oh, it did. And I remember going after that game saying, "Oh, please don't do scoreboard watching on the broadcast," because the broadcast team easily could have been doing scoreboard watching, because obviously our game was the second of the 3. Do you remember the time it went down, Skeleton? Yeah. Ottawa at TL was the first game, we were the second game, and then Montreal at New York was the last game. Right. Okay. Fair dues. Right. So May the 3rd was the final day of the regular season, with all 6 teams in play, and everything was on the line. With the Frost, Charge and Fleet all battling for the final 2 spots in the playoffs. And again, Minnesota needed to win in regulation to get in, and oh boy, did they fire on all cylinders! Establishing a 3-0 lead after the first period, which saw Aaron Frankel getting relieved from the game. That was a stupid move by Courtney Kessel. Oh! She's no longer in this league to defend herself! It was a stupid move. Frankel had been injured at the World Championships. Why put her in the game? We could have rested her out and potentially still got in the playoffs, and then bring her back then. It was a stupid move. Well, there were a lot of stupid moves made by the Boston Fleet in that game. There were a lot. Because, right, as the buzzer went on the second period in Songer Center, we got word from Coca-Cola Coliseum that the Ottawa Charge had defeated the Scepters in overtime, which meant that not only had the Charge punched their ticket to the playoffs, but Minnesota was also in, as we had the tiebreaker over Boston with 1 period still to play. The tiebreaker was on regulation wins. Yeah. And at that point, us and Boston both had 9, the Charge finished with 12. Yeah. So the Charge was locked in 3rd place with their 12 regulation wins. So this was basically how to get 4th place. Because we were on a healthy lead, we said to ride out 20 minutes, and then ba-bum, done, clinch, bye-bye. There was nothing Boston could do. And I think we kind of felt that they knew what had happened, because it took a while to get back onto the ice. They basically had like a team talk. Because Courtney Kessler and her team got out, and then but the actual team took forever to get out, so it wasn't like they were having like a team talk. Yeah, so they must have known. But they didn't know that, because they then basically pulled the extra attacker several times and just made it even worse. Yeah. Made up embarrassed 8-3 loss embarrassment to Ottawa look like a picnic, because they ended up losing 8-1. So it's a big. So the fact I alluded on the last episode that our embarrassment was a smaller margin. This was an even bigger margin, because it was by 7 goals, whereas ours was only by 4. Yeah, but the performance in that February game was an embarrassment to watch. Let's just remember, focus on that. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the game, the Frost convincingly beat the Boston Fleet by a score of 8-1, and were officially back in the World Cup playoffs, and would get the chance to defend their crown, as once again they would qualify as the 4th place team in the league, and would have a 24-hour wait to see who they would face in the semi-finals. And we will reveal that on the start of the next show. Yeah, we will do that at the start of the next show. Yeah, because that lies the end. Because here, therefore, is the end of the script. Look at him going all Shakespeare. I had to do it for GCSE English. Leave off. Every child in Britain has to do GCSE English and has to do Shakespeare. Right. Literally, it's not negotiable in your GCSE English. You have to do Shakespeare in this country. Your school can choose what Shakespeare play you do. So for my high school, it was Romeo and Juliet. Right. So you had no option. You had to do Shakespeare. You had to do Shakespeare in GCSE English. And for me, it was Romeo and Juliet. Right. So there you go. Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah. Oh. Right. But no. So yeah. So we will let you know who got to pick and who in the next episode. So that's going to be your cliffhanger for today. Well, for this episode, to say, because they all get released on the same day. Anyway. Yeah. So what do we make of that? It was stressful. It was stressful, especially after the palaver with what the AHL did. He's not gonna go. Oh, that's rich. You'll have a go at me, you're human, but you won't have a go at your wife when she brings it up. That's just charming. That's rich. That's charming. That really is. Honestly, that's charming. But it was not pretty, especially after dropping that game against New York. And now realising that, oh my god, if we don't win regulation, we're down. Especially how Ottawa had been a really unkind building, because that was the third of 3 in Ottawa. First one was the embarrassment. The second one happened in March, which we could have won, but a jailbreak goal cost us. Yeah. And then obviously, yeah. So you came to thinking, oh my god, brace. Yeah, just brace yourselves for what's going to happen. Brace. But yeah. Yeah. Anything you want to add over there, Mr. RSPCA? That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Oh, just horrible. Why do we never make it easy clinching the playoffs? No, none of my hockey teams make it easy clinching the playoffs. Not even him. 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 Okay. Not even him. Not even him. I'm sorry, Naughty. He's not normally this abusive. More racism! Jesus Christ. I'm wrapping this up here before someone then goes even starts throwing out slurs. I'm wrapping it up here. Jesus Christ. What have I done to deserve this abuse on my own show? Anyway, right. Next time is where it gets really nitty gritty. Because next time we will be in the business end now. And we get to look back on the semi-finals of the 2025 World Cup playoffs. Which all would feel a bit too familiar with what happened in 2024. But we'll save that for another time. And that's what's going to come next as we continue to reminisce and celebrate the World Cup champion 2025 Minnesota.